Hey, good afternoon. I wanted to take a few minutes to share a concept that was shared with me as I have gone through my own work and development and growth. A few years ago, I met a yoga instructor who introduced the idea of propping and collapsing in how we posture ourselves, how we physically present and be and stand and sit, that we sometimes will collapse a part of our body, and that collapsing creates a propping where other parts of our body have to adjust in order to hold the physical weight of one part collapsing and the other part having to pull up the slack of that adjustment. And then also thinking of that in terms of the images of maybe an old barn that has had some structural weakness or taken some form of collapse, and other beams in that barn having to hold extra weight that they weren't designed for. The reinforcement of this concept came from a chiropractor more recently, and the physical toll that we have on ourselves, creating physical stress where our bodies wear out from looking down at our phones or sitting at our desks or working on our computers. The structure of our bodies, our bones and our muscles, wear down eventually from that extra stress of propping and collapsing. And you could probably think of areas where this happens to you, but I was wondering how that might apply to other areas of our life. Are there areas where you have had some form of financial collapse or propping? Or maybe it's an emotional propping. Where have you created stress on your budget that other areas of your life have had to prop up? Or what relationships do you have that have been put extra stress on? Or maybe you are one of the places that prop up collapsing in relationships, and that eventually wears down the relationship. The same thing can happen emotionally and spiritually. And we've talked about this in terms of whole person growth and development, but the image of that dilapidated barn and how eventually things will just collapse entirely may create a little bit more motivation or incentive to try to find areas in our lives where we are propped up and where we are collapsing. And it may be easier to be aware of that physically in terms of sensations, but to take some time to look at where are the other areas financially, relationally, emotionally that may be propped up, and how to begin to strengthen those areas that have collapsed, and then also relieve the pressure on areas that have been propped. Take some time this week and look at that through that lens, that perspective of what is it about you that isn't being supported the way that it needs to? What can you do to adjust and realign everything internally so that your external world does not have to prop? And where are you propped internally, and what in the external world needs to adjust to take some of the pressure back so that you're in alignment? Feel free to ask any questions or make any comments below. I'm happy to continue the conversation. I'm John Rhoads. I hope that you're able to find purpose and meaning in your daily life.